Good morning, Cybele. My name is Yuri York, and I've phoned you yesterday and left a voicemail. I'm one of your constituents residing in the District 3 in Chelsea, Quebec. I've decided to make this recording to shed a little bit more light as to the reason for my call to you, and hope this will give you some basis for our future meeting. I would like to set the meeting. I understand that both of us are pretty busy with lives and everything, but I'm sure we can find some time to meet to discuss this in more depth. So the reason for my call and the reason for reaching out is I'm a Ukrainian immigrant to Canada. I'm a Ukrainian immigrant to Quebec, residing in your district in Chelsea. And with the onset of the latest events, not so much in Ukraine with Russia, we all know that, and my appreciation goes to you for raising Ukrainian flag on the 24th. But recent events in my life in particular, I feel that the first approach for me is to reach out to my representative to seek for help, to seek for reason, to seek for justice. Roughly a week ago, on Monday last week, I've received an email. Well, let me digress. So my family and I, we bought the house in Chelsea roughly a year ago, December 1st, 2021. My family consists of myself, my son who was born in Canada, my wife who is Quebecois, and two of her kids. Also our mom, my mom, who's from Ukraine, and she's almost 80, 79. And we bought this house here in Chelsea because it suited all our needs, and it was the perfect place for us to be close to schools of the kids, to be close to our works, as well as it had a basement apartment for my mom, so she can live with us. As you are well aware, Chelsea does not have much of an accommodation for elderly, so it was no-brainer, and we wanted my mom to live with us and look after her in her older years. As part of the purchase of this home, we knew that we have to change the septic tank, which was defective. It took us almost a year to get an engineer approved, to get a quote, and last thing we wanted to do is apply to Municipality for a permit for a septic tank, which we did about a month or two ago. So now coming back to the Monday last week, we've received an email from your building department informing us that the basement apartment that we have, and keep in mind we applied for permit for septic. So the email informs us that the basement apartment that we have was built without permit. Previous people has done that. And it seems to the municipality that the size of that basement apartment is too big. It's about 1,900 square feet. So my mom's got a kitchen there, she's got her washroom, and she's got her bedroom. My son also has a bedroom there. Therefore, the building department tells us that we need to have an inspector come to our house the same week to inspect our home. Otherwise, our building apartment, my mom's apartment, will be deemed illegal. I've reached out to the official, Carrie Ann, at building department to discuss this. I've expressed that I feel uneasy with my background, being born in Soviet Union, being raised in a tyrannical country. When I deal with officials, I feel uneasy. To which I was told that if I don't allow this visit, she will get a court order and force herself into my house, which I did not appreciate it. But this is not about my feelings. My feelings are the last thing I want to talk. At which point I've asked her what exactly is that she's looking to get out of this meeting, and she wanted to see the size, and she wanted to know if our apartment needs to be modified in any way. Side note, we've been paying taxes for a house with the apartment. We bought it as having an apartment. We paid the price for it as having an apartment. We paid the land transfer tax as having an apartment. As a matter of fact, on the municipal statement, it states here that it has an apartment. And quite frankly, for us, it doesn't matter how the basement mom's residence is called. It's just the residence for her. You want to call it an apartment, you want to call it in-house bi-generational home, it doesn't matter for us. So the official told us that we'll have a couple of options, but they consist of removing some finished part of the basement or removing the kitchen if we don't want it to be designated as apartment. In either of the cases, that means that my mom doesn't have a place to live. I asked for some time to think. I reached out back to Carrie Ann on Wednesday last week. She actually never got back to me. Instead, a fine gentleman by the name of Gabriel did. He's an inspector. And he politely and courteously insisted that he needs to come to my home, which he did on the same day, by the way. He went through the entire house, taking photos of my house, taking notes of my house, a look at the basement, eventually informing me that Municipality, him and Carrie Ann, are trying to be nice to me, and they could have just sent me a letter forcing me to comply. Therefore I have no reasons to feel bad. Right now I'm in the upstairs office. He mentioned that this somehow does not qualify to the municipality bylaws. I felt like a Jew in 1940s in Nazi Germany. I felt completely violated and helpless. He was smiling, he was being polite, yet he was telling me things that could be done to me and my family. Keep in mind, I have an 80-year-old mom from Ukraine watching news of a disaster there every day in her basement, minding her own business, not doing anything illegal, and yet at this point I feel that we're being forced out of our own home, and she doesn't know about this yet. If I tell her this, there's going to be, on top of the situation with Ukraine, there's going to be stress, blood pressure, tears of an 80-year-old Ukrainian. I have no other option. I have no other avenue. I feel that talking to building department is completely useless. 100 years ago, a little bit more than 100 years ago, people were told that it is the law that a white man can own a black man. And you shouldn't feel bad about it. As the inspector told me, it's not personal against you. It is just a law. 50 years ago, if you were LGBTQ, you were told that it is not personal. It is just a law. Black and white. These are the words that I've heard. It is black and white. Nothing personal. 75 years in Nazi Germany, as I mentioned before, it was also the law. The question that I have for you, for my representative, is this the society we live in? Is this the society where common sense does not prevail? Where logic, some form of a morale, does not prevail over some black and white written letters on the piece of paper? And how do we treat those that are with us, the elderly people for who Chelsea doesn't really have much accommodation? Where do I send her? Do I send her back to Ukraine? Or do I place her somewhere in Ottawa or Almer, try to find accommodation for her? She cooks for 3 kids, she gives them some love, and I'm supposed to kick her out? I'm desperate. I'm looking for your help as my representative to intervene. I'm looking to meet with you, to look you in the face, to hear this story from me, and help me put this aside. This can be a very simple solution if the officials at the building department simply had common sense and a little bit of courtesy and treated others as humans, not as just a number and figure on the paper to check mark. I have never felt the feeling of disillusionment in my life before. Actually, I'm lying. I did in Soviet Union when I lost my faith in that country. As you can see, I live in Canada. I love my country. I love my province. I love my people. My wife is Quebecois. My all 3 kids are born in Canada. I teach them to be good citizens. I teach them to do the right thing. I teach them to have morals, to work hard, to do something for this country so that it grows and prospers. And life for the citizens of Canada and citizens of Quebec become better. And yet right now, I'm wondering if I'm being punished for doing the right thing. Many people told me, do not go to municipality applying for permits. They're going to find something. I said, no, that's the right thing to do. And yet, I feel like a complete fool right now because I've applied for permit, doing the right thing. And I had people walk through my house, inspecting it as if they're looking for something to pick on. Cybele, I'm reaching out to you, hoping to set the meeting, hoping that you can help me resolve this unjust, unfair, discriminatory situation without this becoming a public knowledge, without this becoming something more than just a misunderstanding. And this is what I want to put to rest in my heart and mind. It was just a misunderstanding. Thank you for watching. I hope to hear from you soon.